lah, dia orang ni lambat lagi ke? Dah pukul berapa ni? Kita punya perjalanan ni jauh lagi ni. Apa dia orang ni solat tahajud ke pada petang ni? Itu dah lah petang-petang lapar. Mesti nasib baiklah ada donat ni. Tapi sikit dah tinggal ni ha. Ya Allah. Malina lapar ke? Ingat ni? Ni ya Allah ni penuh dengan garam dengan gula sedap tu betul-betul. Dia nak lah tu. Sekilah tu bila anak engkau suka dia macam. Jangan.
Aku ada bawa snack food untuk anak aku, okey? Ni dia. Favorite Amalina all time kan? Kau suap je dia yang ini. Senyap teruslah anak aku ni. Amalina.
Biskut apa Bella? Engkau bagi kat anak engkau ni macam pelik je aku tengok. Tak pernah lagi aku jumpa biskut macam ni. Tapi anak engkau suka aku tengok. Dia tak cukup lagi. Bagi. Cepat lapar budak tu.
Inilah dia biskut homemade. Tanpa garam, tanpa gula, tanpa bahan pengawet. Untuk mak-mak nak makan pun sesuai. Untuk orang yang nak berdiet macam kau yang ada kecil manis ni pun sesuai. Cuba kau rasa sikit.
Ya ke ni orang tua pun boleh makan ni? Yang untuk aku ni pun boleh makan? Tu aku try sikit lah. Sedap juga lah. Kalau macam ni untuk orang diabetes macam aku ni boleh diet lah kan? Jadi aku terpaksa lah tinggalkan dulu punya donat ni. Kurang lah aku lepas ni kan?
Hello, good morning, Assalamualaikum. Siapa yang ada? Or is it the usual? My top student, Shikin Mastri. Good morning. Hello, Afzan. Assalamualaikum. Waalaikumsalam. Apa khabar? Sihat ke semua orang? Okay. Nurul Natasha, Waalaikumsalam. Thank you for joining. Okay, semua orang sihat ke hari ni? Dah breakfast? So did you have a gluten-free breakfast or non-gluten? I had a mix hari ni. So I had some cucur badak, which can be it's considered gluten-free, but might have traces of gluten sebab I think dia digoreng bersama dengan curry puff, which has wheat. So if you mix together benda macam tu kan, goreng dalam satu bekas, and there are traces of wheat atau gluten, then that's cross-contamination. So walaupun cucur badak is considered gluten-free sebab diperbuat daripada keledek, but then again because you goreng dalam satu minyak sekali dengan curry puff, so then that becomes gluten contamination. So not entirely gluten-free, but boleh lah, I'm not that sensitive. So that is our topic for today. So we're going to discuss about gluten. Kita akan mengenali lebih dekat lagi apakah itu gluten free ataupun apakah itu struktur gluten. Okay. Alright. Apakah itu struktur gluten? Gluten ni berasal daripada mana? Is it only gluten in wheat? Or there are other proteins. Okay, proteins bukan sahaja ada di dalam animal products. Alright, protein juga ada di dalam tumbuh-tumbuhan, in plants. So we're talking about a plant protein that some people have allergic reaction to, and also some people have sensitivity to. Waalaikumsalam, No Asma, how are you? Thank you for joining. Okay. So, These past few years, saya rasa dah semakin when people find out that their root cause of their problem, especially with allergies, especially with sensitivity. So bila diorang find out that antara one of the causes is gluten, so kita makin kerap dengar perkataan ni. Okay. A lot of people have gotten to know gluten. So banyak orang buat posting, banyak orang yang, especially yang macam Asma kata, anak-anak ada eczema. Okay, they've started to talk about gluten, what is gluten, apa sebenarnya, and so on. So, first we're going to learn what is gluten. Okay, gluten adalah sejenis protein that you find in what products? Wheat products. But that is what most people think. Okay, tak semestinya dalam wheat. So, sometimes there are other products that have wheat. And one of them, sorry, not wheat, gluten. And one of them, surprisingly, a lot of people think are gluten-free, but it's not. Apakah itu? Siapa tahu? Selain wheat. Waalaikumsalam Siti Fatimah, how are you? Okay. Topik menarik, anak ada eczema. Okay. Alright, so who else knows besides wheat? Apa lagi ada gluten? Ataupun memang korang semua ingat selama ni kalau yang gluten tu adalah wheat sahaja, and never occur to you ataupun tak terlintas langsung bahawa ada benda lain juga yang ada gluten. Macam pernah dengar. Macam pernah dengar. Morning Naziha. Okay, macam pernah dengar. Oh ya, pernah dengar gluten wheat je. Tapi selain tu tak pernah dengar. Ataupun terlupa macam pernah. Okay, another one is because even, ialah korang semua panggil Madam Mai. Tapi Madam Mai pun kan sebelum ni pun tak tahu. Until I develop, okay, my sensitivity pada gluten is not so much of wheat. I can tolerate a few wheat products. Okay. But the worst, korang percaya atau tidak, is actually jeng, benda yang paling healthy yang orang suka makan untuk lose weight. Dah bagi clue dah ni. Cepat. Siapa tahu? Kalau tak tahu lagi, okay, it's actually oat. Okay, oats. Oats. Naziha pandai, oats. So, I found out the hard way, and I hope that other people do not experience what I experienced lah. So what happened was that I'm okay with certain types of wheat. It just gives me bloating. But the worst sampai I tak boleh jalan is actually taking oats. And this happens sebab tiap hari I makan oat kononnya to replace my meal. This happened masa I tengah pantang lah. So I just ignored it. Baru nak tulis oat, pandai. Baru nak tulis oat dia. Okay, tak apa, betul, oat, okay. So I found out that when I started taking oat on a daily basis, I developed a very bad inflammation on my joints, on my hands, on my knees. Sampai kan ada satu masa I tak boleh jalan langsung. So that was how I found out the hard way. Then bila baca lagi, oh rupanya when you say about gluten, it's not only a protein that is in wheat. It is also a protein in oat. Okay, semua dengar betul-betul you can put this down. Oat, barley, rye. Even ada satu masa saya cuba ganti pasta dengan buckwheat. But buckwheat also contains gluten. Okay, what is it that in wheat or in this orang kata grains that turn it into a protein structure called gluten? Okay. So what happens is that, let me just share you my screen of what is gluten. Okay, hold on now. Where is it? Okay. I don't know why my... Okay, found it. Hold on now. It's not the one. So I want to show you what is the structure of, okay, what exactly is gluten. Sebab kita tak nak confuse between wheat and gluten. Gluten is something in wheat, but it is actually a process. That means, kalau katakan benda tu tak melalui satu proses, dia tak akan menjadi wheat. So apakah proses itu? Okay, the process is this. Okay, if you can see it. Alright. Ulang balik apa ayat last tu, yang mana? Oat, barley, okay, rye, R-Y-E, rye, okay. And also another one is buckwheat, B-U-C-K-W-E-A-T. Buckwheat is actually sangat sedap. Dia macam pasta, dia warna hijau. It's actually a noodle that, a type of ramen lah, that usually Japanese selalu makan. So, it's very nice. Buckwheat noodle is so nice. Actually, I prefer it more than pasta, but then again, it's got wheat, it's got gluten. So, okay, in order for the protein to become gluten, okay, there exists dalam wheat what you call as gliadin and then glutenin. So, kalau you gliadin and glutenin ni, you campur dengan air, okay, mixing it in water, okay, there's a formation. So that formation becomes gluten mass structure. So in order for it to become gluten, tepung tu mesti melalui satu formation yang melibatkan water. Okay. Alright, so that means that any other plant protein, contohnya oat atau barley, okay, kalau dicampur dengan air, there's still gluten in it. So have to be careful when you're trying to go on gluten-free diet, you have to consider other grains as well, okay, and it gets very complex as well. Sebab apa? Ada juga orang yang tiba-tiba, saya dah avoid wheat, saya dah avoid oat, saya dah avoid barley, saya dah avoid rye, saya dah avoid buckwheat, but I'm still getting the same symptoms, bloating. Okay, it can be carbs, okay, might be rice, but there is also something where you call as cross reaction dengan gluten. Maknanya, makanan tu pada asasnya, katakan contohnya jagung. Okay, jagung tak ada gluten. Tapi somehow your body, okay, creates an antibody against it sebab dia ingat dia punya structure tu nearly similar. Alright? So it's not that easy. So what happens when you say a person has allergic reaction ataupun sensitivity terhadap gluten? So we're going to jump to the 3 types of condition, okay, yang boleh menyebabkan seseorang itu terpaksa go on a gluten-free diet. And surprising to say, a lot of people dia semua macam letak semua dalam satu kategori. Oh, I'm allergic to gluten. Oh, I tak boleh, I ada sensitivity. No, it's very different sebenarnya. Alright, and how for you to diagnose is also, this is what I've been stressing. Kalau you rasa you tak boleh tolerate certain things, it is very important that you get yourself tested. This is to confirm which is it that you have, okay? Do you have a wheat allergy, or do you have a gluten sensitivity, or do you have celiac disease? Getting a bit more, orang kata confusing kan? Okay, so now you dah tahu apa itu gluten. So we're going to talk about what are the conditions that might cause a person to go on a gluten-free diet or a total wheat-free diet. Alright? So we are going to look at what is the difference. A lot of people don't know this. Okay? Info yang bagus. Thank you so much. Alright? Right, the screen is coming up. As you can see, what is wheat allergy versus gluten allergy? Okay, some people say, Kak Mai, I thought they were the same thing. No, it's not. Sebab dalam wheat, ada lebih daripada 100 protein. Okay, that makes up wheat. So sometimes the person is not allergic to gluten, but they are allergic to other parts of wheat. Okay? Now, biasanya kita akan kata wheat allergy is a true allergy. Okay, a lot of specialists will say that wheat allergy is a true allergy. Okay, the reaction is either near immediate, maknanya lepas makan dia terus dapat, atau slightly delayed. Okay? After dia makan dah a meal that has wheat. Dan biasanya yang ada wheat allergy ni, they can get stuffy nose, I get that. Wheezing, watery eyes, okay, orang mak-mak yang anak-anak ada eczema, this is all normal lah Memang all these tanda-tanda ni memang ada, betul tak? Okay, and also difficulty to breathe. Okay, this is it's very difficult to pronounce. Okay. Difficulty to breathe lah. Maknanya it causes the airway to swell up. Bila swell up, you find it difficult to breathe. Okay, that is a wheat allergy. You kena ingat yang, okay, wheat allergy dia boleh allergic kepada mana-mana protein di dalam wheat, tak semestinya gluten. So they have to go on a wheat-free diet. How can that be, Kak Mai? Wheat contains gluten, yes. Okay, but there are ways to actually reduce the gluten in the wheat. We'll talk about that later. So that's the difference. Okay, so gluten allergy is not usually a real allergy, and a lot of medical people don't really accept it lah. But except for if you have celiac disease. Okay, celiac is specifically an allergy to gluten. Maknanya ada gluten sikit aja pun, okay, dia akan mengalami masalah lah. Okay, and one of it is, as you know, kalau kita cakap pasal dermatitis, I'm sure mak-mak yang anak-anak ada eczema semua dah familiar, betul tak? Dermatitis, atopic dermatitis. So this is dermatitis herpetiformis. Ni jenis yang keluar apa tau? Keluar air kecil-kecil. Bila gatal-gatal dia akan keluar macam minta-minta warna air. That can be a gluten sensitivity. Alright. So let's look at another chart. Okay. I'm going to show you another one which is very good to determine the difference. But I notice that a lot of people sometimes have problems trying to differentiate between the three. So Nomadiha tengah ada eczema yang macam tu yang orang kata mengelembung-gelembung air tu. Okay, so again, you must bear in mind there are three types of condition that is caused by one wheat allergy to gluten allergy. So, and also there's a thing such as gluten sensitivity. Okay, so not really a true allergy and not so serious lah biasanya. Yang paling serius adalah, we start from the paling right. Tu kira teruk ke? Maaf tanya. Biasanya ya. Sebab bila dah keluar air tu memang gatal. Memang gatal and it becomes blisters. Blisters nanti jadi kudis. Okay. So celiac disease macam saya cakap is an allergy to gluten. Protein gluten. Patut ingat balik. Kalau orang tanya gluten tu apa? Semua dah boleh jawab kan? 2 protein dalam wheat. Okay, 2 protein dalam wheat bergabung tambah air. Dan gabung, then it forms a bond, and it becomes gluten. Okay, so apakah petanda biasanya orang yang ada celiac disease ni? Bloating, diarrhea, malnutrition, osteoporosis, and also cancer. And they cannot take even small amounts of gluten. And they have a very strict gluten-free diet. Alright, so this is celiac disease. Celiac disease ni memang dia specifically dia punya badan ada create IgE. IgE ni ada sejenis antibody. Antibody ni ada macam-macam. IgE, IgA, IgM. Okay. So when your body creates IgE towards gluten, that means you have what we call as celiac disease. And for you to know whether you have celiac disease or not, you have to do the test. Dekat mana? Immunologist. Okay, there are 2 immunologists yang I know dekat KL ni. One is Dr. Ken Wu dekat Gleneagles. The other one is Dr. Amir, which is in Pantai lah. Dr. Amir is a pediatric immunologist. So, jangan biarkan diri tu orang kata tertanya-tanya. If you have the option to go for an allergic test or an IgE test, or what you call as an immunocapras allergy test, okay, do it. There's also, Dr. Ami is for pediatric lah. So if you're an adult, you have to go to people like Dr. Ken Wu. Ken Wu is in Gleneagles. He caters for adults. Okay, so you have to know which immunologist to go to. You can't go to Dr. Ami sebab Dr. Ami only caters for kids. Alright, and for you to do the test, there's always one place dekat Bukit Kiara. It's owned by my friend Encik Rahman. He is the director of Global Allergy. Okay, Global Allergy Mount Kiara, you can get the test done there. Last time was about 450 to 500. Sekarang I tak tahu. Okay, so they will do the test and they will class you between 1 to 6. Class 6 is the worst. My daughter is class 6, dust mite. Okay, class 6 dust mite. Bila I dapat result tu, I'm like, wow, macam mana ni? You know, like, blur, tak tahu nak buat apa. Okay, alright. So, it's better for you to do the test. Okay, the celiac disease memang ada satu lagi test. For celiac, just nak tengok sama ada you have a gluten allergy or not. The next is once you do the immunocapras test and it seems to be a wheat allergy, okay, that means you have a wheat allergy. That means you're not only allergic to, tak semestinya gluten. You might be allergic to any structure of the wheat. Maknanya the wheat contains more than 100 proteins. So you might be allergic to any part of the wheat, not just gluten. Sebab itu ada orang dia kata, okay, makan sourdough because the sourdough bread breaks down the gluten. Some people can take it, some people still cannot take it. So that is also the difference. That's why it's better for you to get yourself tested to know whether you have a gluten allergy or you have a wheat allergy. Okay? And the symptoms are also different. So people with wheat allergy sometimes have hives, nasal congestion, nausea, okay, anaphylaxis. That's the word. Finally, I got to pronounce it. Anaphylaxis is when your throat becomes swollen and you find it difficult to breathe. So wheat allergy is much more serious. It can cause serious trigger certainty. Ya, ada yang makan sourdough pun still ada symptom. Yes, that's true because it might not just be a sensitivity towards gluten. It might not just be celiac disease. It might be that they have a wheat allergy. Okay, so you have to know. How is the way to know? Get yourself tested. Okay, there's no other way for you to know, melainkan you get yourself tested. It brings a peace of mind. Okay, of course it does take a lot of money, but it gives you peace of mind. Okay, you know how to manage your symptoms. Sebab you tahu the root cause. Betul tak? Okay. So, the next is gluten sensitivity. For the test, I think for the rest test is about 450 and above. That was like way back before. Nowadays, I tak tahu. So, you have to do a bit of research lah. You know, go to BP lab find a very good immunologist, okay. I know Gleneagles might be a bit more, orang kata, mahal lah kan. But then, if it brings you a peace of mind, you have to strive and try better. Betul tak? Rather than keeping yourself in orang kata in not to say not in the know. So kita nak manage kita punya symptom tu tak boleh. Sebab we don't know what it is that's wrong with us. Alright? And I know it can also be quite frustrating for some people because it costs money. There are people that's gone and they can't find anything wrong with them. So it might be something else. This is why we talk about gluten sensitivity. It's just a sensitivity. It's not a real allergy, okay? So usually this is what most common people have. Okay, it's like I mentioned here, 6% of the US population. Kita punya Malaysia punya population most probably is the same. Okay, you have at least some stomach issues, headache, even balance problems, and many others. The triggers are either gluten or something else in the wheat itself. When we talk about something else, this is very, very important because a lot of people, they eat wheat, they blame it on the gluten, but they don't blame it on how we have changed our farming processes, our agriculture processes. Banyak orang tak salahkan cara macam mana kita tanam makanan sekarang dengan tanam makanan masa zaman nenek moyang kita dulu. So it might be a sensitivity to gluten, or it might be a sensitivity to what has happened to the wheat. It might have put pesticide, it might have put GMO, it might have been GMOs and stuff like that. So, okay, so the triggers are the gluten or any amount unknown, right? So what is the treatment? Gluten-free diet. That's the thing about all these three. There's no cure. There's no medication except for when you have the allergy, you might have something to calm your immune system down, and that's always steroid in the case, which we want to avoid at all costs is possible, kan? Alright. So we've already talked about the three types of allergy, the differences, and also sensitivity. So the majority of us, I'm sure, can relate to gluten sensitivity. Okay, brain fog, that's also another one. Bloating. Bloating is most common. If you notice that after you eat bread or anything that has gluten, you're bloating, you have a sensitivity. So unless you go for proper testing, then only you know whether you have a wheat allergy or you have celiac disease. But out of most of the time, people when they say they're bloating after eating wheat, well, there is a sensitivity, okay, towards gluten. So why is it dangerous? When, say for example, you have celiac disease and then you don't treat it, you don't go through the process of gluten-free diet, strict gluten-free diet, because what happens is that the protein goes into your gut. Kita talk about last week kan, pasal zonulin kan. Kita nampak kan dia punya, orang kata lapisan perut kita tu kan ada villi. So what happen is that if your system is triggered by the gluten protein, they will start attacking our body. So this is an autoimmune condition. Celiac disease is an autoimmune condition. Alright, so when it means by what it means by autoimmune, it means that your own immune system is attacking your own body cells or any parts of your body. Right? So in select cases, it attacks the villi. Villi tu yang perut tu yang like macam serabut-serabut dia. Tapi kan kalau beli perut rembu kan kita nampak macam kapet kan. That is what it is. Alright, it will attack that when you don't have enough, orang kata our villi are shorted, then it will cause malabsorption, digestive issue. So that is why it's important to get yourself tested. Alright. So how about what else? Okay. Ada yang makan, what is sourdough? I'm sure a lot of people want to know what is sourdough. Sourdough is actually bread that has gone through a fermentation process which eats out the gluten, reduces the gluten. There is still some gluten but not so much. So that it's easily digestible. What the yeast does is the wild yeast digests all the carbs and everything to make the bread much more easy to digest in your stomach. Okay, so that's what sourdough is. Okay, so again, the consensus kalau kita tengok, it's best to get, proper diagnosis. Proper diagnosis actually menyebabkan orang kata kita mengambil tindakan yang lebih baik. So kalau it's just a gluten sensitivity, most probably what you can do is you can try to do food elimination for about 2 weeks, see how your symptom improve, and then try to reintroduce sikit-sikit. Okay, and then you know your threshold. So maknanya like for myself, I know that if I'm eating like in a week, if I'm eating too much, then I will get symptoms. But if I'm eating like my formula is what I call as 80-20. So 80% of the time I'm eating gluten-free stuff, rice, bihun and all that, okay? I should be okay with the 20%. That means my consumption of gluten tak melebihi 20% of my, orang kata, my threshold. Okay, that's my threshold, 20%. Alright, 80% I make sure I eat everything that is possibly, if possible, gluten-free. Now, is it easy for us come up with a product and claim it gluten-free just because it's made of rice? Anyone can answer? Okay, kalau katakan kita ada product and it's rice, can we claim it as gluten-free? Because I want to tell you a very interesting story about what happened to my daughter. So she was sitting at the kitchen one day. Okay, she was just sitting in the kitchen. She's got some form of allergy towards cow's milk, which includes she cannot have butter, she cannot have cheese, okay. She's got class 4. They call it milk allergy. Forgot the name, but it's M something A. MP. Milk protein allergy, yes, that's it, MPA, okay. So what happened was that, so another daughter can eat, happily lah, can eat butter, can eat cheese, only the third one yang tak boleh. So I was preparing something for the sister, sebab sister nak pergi sekolah petang, she wanted breakfast. So all I did was, I thought it was very harmless. I just put a bit of butter in my pan. So selalunya my daughter doesn't sit at the dapur, but on that particular day somehow she was a bit fussy, she wants to, very clingy. So okay lah, I put the high chair dekat dapur and I sat her there. Usually if I'm cooking, then she'll be kat depan. But that particular day, she was sitting in the kitchen. So I put the butter in the pan, okay, just to make the scrambled eggs. And all of a sudden, bila I dah habis masak, I saw that she was swollen, welting up. Macam orang kata kena hives tau. So that was, orang kata I learned the hard way, nasib baiklah nothing else happened. So, when we talk about this is why it's important for you not to claim anything as gluten-free until, one, cross-contamination doesn't happen. Doesn't mean that it's not there, it's not there. Contohnya macam tadi saya cakap, I'm eating cecah badak, but I doubt that if the oil is cuma digunakan untuk goreng cecah badak sahaja. But if the oil was used to goreng curry puff, which you know is made of wheat, therefore it makes the cecah badak non-gluten free even though it is not made of wheat. Faham tak? Alright, do you understand? So in order for an item to be gluten free, the whole entire place, the machine, the equipment, the sources of the product must not have any cross contamination with wheat. Very difficult, right? Even up to the extent people are so strict that the padi yang you tanam, of course lah senang lah kalau kita padi tanam mana ada ladang gandum kat Malaysia kan. It gets very difficult in places like Canada and also in orang kata in US sebab there are other things that are gluten free like corn for example might be gluten free, but if it is ditanam bersebelahan dengan ladang gandum, there is a high chance of cross reaction with that corn, and that corn might have a little bit of wheat protein. Begitulah. Another issue, okay, that is when we say, that's why nak jadikan sesuatu gluten free adalah sangat-sangat susah. Unfortunately kat Malaysia, we don't have a body that recognizes these things, okay. Kat luar sana, yes, it's very strict. Macam EcoCert, you know EcoCert? EcoCert is whereby they claim that katakan shampoo or the body shower and things like that is EcoCert. EcoCert is from France. They have a body that actually check everything, audit everything. So kat Malaysia ni tak ada. So a lot of us sometimes we go somewhere we say gluten free. But do we question? Okay, is your facility, you dapat, contohlah, you dapat nasi ni ada bercampur dengan tepung gandum tak? Things like that lah. Okay, so it's not very easy to claim something gluten free. And if you are a parent who is, orang kata, trying to manage your kids' sensitivity and allergy, it gets much more worse sebab it takes a lot of energy to ensure. It might be just only one child, but you know, the other child pun nak kena makan secara normal. So everything needs to be very, very carefully, okay, observed. Alright? So that's why it is difficult to do what we call as gluten free. You need a very separate facility with no contamination from the sources to the machine to even the people. Even the people pun kalau pergi lunch pun mungkin are not allowed to eat any gluten products. Sebab takut cross contamination, or they might have a measure, apa orang kata measures to basically sebab little bit of wheat atau little bit of gluten pun boleh menyebabkan allergy. So that's why it's very important. These are food that when people eat can actually determine between life and death. Okay? But the best I think so far, kalau nak lah gluten free product, find the ones from Australia. The ones from Australia are very good, okay? Ones from Australia are very good because Australia has actually the highest number of people who are kids who have eczema. So they are more advanced than us. Dulu zaman dulu anak saya dulu pun everything was like all grain and all that was from Australia lah. But again, these are still processed things. And then another issue come up. Ya, alatan semua kena asing. That's how I learned hard way. Alright, that's how I learned the hard way. If dia punya panic kan. You know, I think I learned not to panic because I had a child who had very severe allergies. So bila nampak dia dah macam well out everything, the first thing you do is memang kena mandikan. Okay, memang mandikan, buka baju, mandikan, after that. So then you sapu whatever cream that you have to calm down the nervous system, okay? The immune system, alright? Okay, so the first thing I learned was in any situation, sometimes nak pergi kenduri pun kadang takut. But the good thing is my 70-year-old grandmother actually understands it better than everyone else. So but when we came over for Hari Raya, she's the one who's asking, dia boleh makan tak ni? Amy, because my youngest daughter is Amelia, so we call her Mimi or Amy. So my nenek calls her Amy. Amy boleh makan ke ni? Ini ada kacang, dia boleh makan tak? That's my 70-year-old grandma, okay? She doesn't go to school, she's very old school, tak pernah pergi sekolah, membaca pun tak pandai, but she has the adab and knowledge to actually ask and understand what my daughter is going through. So yeah, we should be ashamed sebab kita semua kan macam membaca. We should know, that's why don't simply feed other people's kids food unless their parents allow it. Sebab kita tak tahu budak tu ada apa kan. Tapi yelah, masyarakat kita dia kan dah biasa dengan orang kata kalau suap anak ni macam suap anak orang lain ni macam like macam form of gesture, but no, zaman sekarang ni I don't think it's a very kind gesture. It can be disastrous kata orang. Okay ya, alatan semua kena asing. Betul tu. Okay, so any questions so far? Ada part yang korang tak berapa faham lagi. So now you understand what gluten is, okay? You understand what gluten is, alright? So you know the difference. So like some people would say, oh, sourdough boleh ambil sebab apa? The gluten is broken down. Yes, but then some people still react because they might not have a true gluten allergy, but they might have a wheat allergy. So okay. Alright, and then you learn that not everything is that's gluten is wheat. It can be oat, rye, buckwheat, or barley. Ingat tu You can read further, familiarize yourself. Alright. Bersihkan dan sejukkan badan dia. Kalau panas lagi menjadi janin. Ya, betul. Dah mandikan. Lepas tu dah sapu tu kena duduk pula kalau dekat kampung mana dengan tak ada aircon ni, cepat-cepat masuk bilik arwah my mom sebab that's the only room that has air conditioning. Okay. Yes, gluten allergy sepanjang hayat. Okay, because gluten allergy is actually celiac disease lah. So celiac disease, yes, dia memang genetic. Alright, okay. But gluten sensitivity, it can improve in time. Okay, it can improve in time, meaning that if you go to a food challenge ni maknanya kita introduce sikit. Maknanya kita go on a gluten-free diet, then after that kita after a while, symptoms improve, kita introduce sikit je. So, lama-lama you kind of like tame your immune system, but if it might take time. Like macam my daughter dulu masa mula-mula, I remember she can't have any beef. Kalau makan daging je naik, but lama-lama we kind of like try to reintroduce. We will try to tame the immune system lah untuk recognize. Because it's not normal kan, it's supposed to be food that we can eat. So the immune system is actually pening. And it's also because of due to sometimes this condition happen because we are experiencing malnutrition. Malnutrition is again, as I mentioned, might not only just consist of vitamins, but also minerals. So you can go back to the previous lessons that we talked about minerals, okay? And from there, most probably, it might be a malnutrition. That's why your immune system tak bekerja sepenuhnya. Because, there's a lot of things that is needed to get up the immune system. It's not just, a lot of people always think like, oh, I ambil vitamin C, okay je, it's good for, no, there's a lot of things that actually help the immune system. One of them is zinc. A lot of people don't take note on things like that. And they just think, oh, as long as I get my vitamin C, I'm okay. That's not just that, It's a whole range of things. Okay, so always go to the root cause. Alright, the same way when we talk about wheat allergy, wheat allergy, gluten sensitivity, alright. If it's a wheat allergy or celiac disease, of course, it can be sepanjang hayat, alright. Now, very severe cases where a person has to bring an EpiPen. EpiPen is bila when you go into anaphylaxis, you have to cecok yourself. Okay, the EpiPen will it will provide some form of relief lah supaya just in case you don't get enough time to go to the hospital, okay? At least there's some measurements lah. Alright, any other questions? Okay, for gluten sensitivity, I do see that as you try to improve the other things like your malnutrition punya issues, as you try to improve your intake of minerals, your intake of good food, try to eat organic as much as you can. Yeah, it is a lot of money, but even small steps like this actually help with gluten sensitivity, especially bloating. That's the worst actually, that's mine. I love pizza, but when I eat it, that's it. I'm a huge balloon. Okay. I love bread. Seriously, I do better with bread than with rice. What I mean is like my gula lah. I punya my orang cakap my glucose levels do better with bread than with rice. I eat a bit of rice, I see my glucose level shoot up, but with bread, it's not. Okay. But one of it is most probably it's not just the bread, not just the gluten, it might be the conventional yeast. So I tried sourdough. Yes, I can tolerate sourdough. So then I know it might be gluten. But even sourdough, so I can't eat on a daily basis. So that's also very important. Jangan hari-hari makan benda yang sama. You're training your immune system to create a resistance towards this food. Right? Especially protein. So every day makan kena bermacam-macam, different things. Don't eat the same thing every single day. Don't eat ayam hari ni ayam, besok ayam, tulat ayam. You're creating a resistance. Alright, has to be, your body has to have enough time to actually, orang kata, give ample choices. Alright, give ample choices to the body. Don't eat the same thing. Because why? I also think that the form of allergy as such as this or form of sensitivity is actually telling you, hey, you're only eating ABC every day, but you're not getting, apa dia orang kata ABC, you're not getting DEF. Okay. Sebab our body needs a lot of things. So if you're only eating limited ABC hari-hari, alright, you're not getting the other alphabets, okay, contoh lah kan, then you're not getting what the body needs. So that's why every single day, if possible, has to be a balanced menu, have to be different. Hari ni ayam, besok ikan, lusa daging, even in a week lah. Kalau kita fikir kan, nenek moyang kita dulu makan ayam dengan daging masa bila? Masa hari raya je. Masa hari raya korban je. Kan, on daily basis you just eat normal simple stuff. Ikan kering, ikan bilis, ikan daripada sungai kan. Right or not? Okay, so sebenarnya kita sekarang makin mewah, makin banyak penyakit. Alright, so give some variety to your menu. Okay, any other questions before we go? Okay, I'll mention again the two types of tests. The first is what we call as a RAS test. RAS test is to test IgE or antibodies towards certain protein. Okay, this can be done at the immunologist or like I mentioned dekat global allergy, Mount Kiara, even at BP lab pun I think they should have this type of test. This is to test an allergic reaction. If you have an IgE, IgE is actually antibody. It stands for an antibody and IgE towards a certain protein. Alright, so if you do the test, okay, biasanya ambil darah lah. You do the test and they see that you create antibodies towards this particular protein, then you might have an allergy. How far is the allergy? They will count in classes. Class 1 until class 6, 6 being the worst. Okay, so for celiac disease, as I mentioned, why is it people with celiac ni kena treat sebab apa? If they eat gluten, then the allergy is that our antibodies will attack the gut lining. So gut lining makin lama makin haus, then you will experience malabsorption. Maknanya susah nak absorb nutrients from food. You get irritable bowel syndrome, you get, cerit berit, or you have gut issues. So that's why you need to go on a strict gluten-free diet. Dia tak ada ubat sebenarnya celiac disease ni. Unless you get the reaction, then only you get the ubat, but the ubat is usually just to calm your immune system down. Okay. And then we have wheat allergy. Again, I can repeat, wheat allergy is you might be allergic or you might keluarkan an antibody, which is again IgE, towards any protein in the wheat. Bukan saja gluten. Okay? There's about more than 100 protein in wheat. So it might be a different type or part of the wheat. So therefore, it's called a wheat allergy. Alright, and there's differences in the symptoms as well. Bloating is usually associated with gluten sensitivity, okay. Sakit kepala, alright. Balancing problem, stomach issue, bloating, biasanya sensitivity. If you develop hives after eating, nasal congestion, banyak kahak, susah nak bernafas, there is an allergy, it might be a wheat allergy. Okay, there's also, and then if you do have bloating, diarrhea, malnutrition, makin lama makin kurus, okay. Alright, you're getting all the symptoms, aches and pain, it might be celiac disease, so there is a test for that. Right, so we're coming to the end of this week's topic, and I hope you guys have enjoyed it. I hope dah tambah sedikit orang kata knowledge lah. So lepas ni wah dah pro lah boleh cakap. Orang tanya, gluten ni apa? Gluten ni apa? Tak boleh makan roti ke? Then you can explain. Alright? There are alternatives as I mentioned, sourdough. We have a lot of sourdough bakers now in Malaysia, Alhamdulillah. Okay, they can come up with a lot of gluten-free option. But it's not gluten-free 100% sourdough. You must remember it is partially digested, meaning the gluten has been reduced, so most probably you can tolerate it. Alright, might be better for your system, calms down your system better. Okay, there are also other gluten-free alternatives. I enjoy a quick snack of tempe ubi. Yeah, within these years I've gone off all the junk food, like a lot of people like macam, have a habit of orang kata skeptis lah, chipsters lah, apa semua tu. I have gotten off the habit and I prefer to have local traditional snacks like keripik ubi, keripik keledek, even keripik tempe. All those are my favorite. So there is always option and you should always rajin untuk mencari those options. Ya, betul. Pelbagaikan menu. Alright. Across different type of sayur. There's so much sayur actually, but sometimes I find that we're only eating sawi, kangkung, bayam. Sawi, kangkung, bayam, kobe, sawi. Kalau I dapat a chance to go to the pasar, you'll see me a lot of sayur, every single different type of sayur, like not just sawi, kangkung, bayam, kopis. No, you have the pucuk labu, you have the pucuk manis. Apa lagi? You have the pucuk paku, pucuk ranti. Siapa pernah makan pucuk ranti? Pernah makan tak? It's actually a delicacy kata orang. Paling favourite I tu. Cukup je nasi pucuk ranti masak sayur lemak dengan keledek. Mesti ada keledek. I tak tahu kenapa pucuk ranti ke, pucuk manis ke, pucuk manis apa. Kalau Chinese kita orang panggil macai. Dalam Chinese punya dish tu, pan mi mesti ada daun macai kan. Masak lemak meranti. Sedap. Sedap kan. Okay, just that ikan goreng atau ikan bakar, cencaru bakar, makan dengan sambal belacan sedap. It's enough. You know, but every single day janganlah sayur pun sama, kadang sayur nak makan macam mana. Alright, so malam tadi I had a very nice meal. I made for my friends masak lemak. Orang kata bening, masak bening tapi tambah santan lah. Hucai, and then there was a bit of suun fucho and some carrots, some mushrooms and some baby corn. Makan tu nasi panas, okay. Also goreng ikan kering sepat, ya. Makan dengan nasi dia sambal belacan. That's it, enough. Licin. So again, you know, variasikan, and if possible, try lah to stick to traditional menus that our ancestors are familiar with. Okay, santan is actually very good. We have been bombarded by messages kata santan high in cholesterol, but it's actually no, you know. Alright, I still think it's the most healthiest food in the whole wide world, santan. And we're used to it. We might already have the genes to really digest it. It's really not the santan, but you know what? It's the sugar that is actually causing all this high cholesterol and all these, you know, problems, health problems. Okay, sedapnya macam lauk kenduri kampung. Yeah. Alright, so that's also another habit. There's actually, yeah, I know a lot of things go viral, kan? A lot of food go viral, but the majority of food yang viral are not, gluten free. Sometimes there's even little traces in food yang, you know, we don't think it's gluten, but there is actually gluten. Okay. Alright. So we're coming to the last 3 minutes before we end our session for today. I hope you've enjoyed it. I have, you know, I'm glad that now a lot of people understand what is gluten. The next time you go to the supermarket, you turn around and you see, you will understand why it says this product, okay, manufacture of this product is in one facility with items that have peanuts, blah, blah, blah. Now you faham kan? It's not easy. No, it's not easy to make a gluten-free product. And a lot of things have to take into consideration. So for today's ilmu, I'm glad that when you go to the supermarket and you read labels, you'll be able to understand more. And then when people ask you, apa tu gluten? Ni gluten sana, gluten sini, you'll be able to explain what is it. It's 2 forms of protein. Alright, 2 forms of protein, and what are they? Okay, gliadin, Gliadin, plus glutenin, plus water, and it forms into a bond. Macam kita campur tepung dengan air, campur, then it becomes stretchy. That is gluten. Okay, and I noticed that baru faham bila baca pada packaging. Yes. Now you understand why it says there, this product is made in a facility which has peanuts, blah, 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 blah. So that people are aware before they eat. The cross-contamination that can happen. Alright. So, for me, myself, another tip I just remembered because we were talking about bancur dengan air. You know what it is that some of the tepung yang orang kata bila bancur dengan air kan macam tak berapa stretchy sangat. Alright, so if it's not stretchy, then there's not a lot of gluten. Okay, the more high protein it is, the more gluten it has. Okay, so thank you for staying till the end. Alright, I hope you have a good day. I hope you've learned a lot. So next week, we gotta think of a topic. What else? Alright, what else shall we talk about? Let's think about it. If you have any suggestion, do drop in the comments. Anything that you want to know, okay? Anything that you want to know, maybe we'll talk about fish, maybe we'll talk about omega-3, omega-6, who knows? Anything under the weather. All these food topics are my favorite. So I'm constantly always reading. It's been like 8-9 years now So every item that I know, that I want to know, I will read. And Alhamdulillah, God gave me kind of like a robust memory to remember all these things. Okay? So I'm very glad to share it with you. All right. Have a good weekend. All right. Whatever is left of it, do stay safe. Eat healthily. Keep your stress level to the minimum. And also get enough rest and sleep. Netflix juga lah. Tapi sleep is also important. To manage your time wisely. All right. Okay. So we'll see you guys again next week with another topic. Thank you for staying. And that's all for today. Assalamualaikum.
Oh, Bella, dia ni lambat lagi ke? Dah pukul berapa ni? Kita punya perjalanan ni jauh lagi ni. Apa dia orang ni solat tahajud ke pada petang ni? Tu dah lah petang-petang lapar. Mesti nasib baiklah ada donat ni. Tapi sikit dah tinggal ni, ha. Ya Allah. Malina lapar ke? Ingat ni? Ha. Ni ya Allah ni penuh dengan garam dengan gula sedap tu betul-betul. Dia nak lah tu. Sekilah tu Bella dia nak engkau sikit dia macam.
Aku ada bawa snack food untuk anak aku, okey? Ni dia. Favorite Amalina all times kan? Kau suap je dia yang ini. Senyap teruslah anak aku ni. Amalina.
Biskut apa Bella? Engkau bagi ke anak engkau ni macam pelik je aku tengok. Tak pernah lagi aku jumpa biskut macam ni. Tapi anak engkau suka aku tengok. Dia tak cukup lagi. Bagi. Cepat lapar budak aku.
Inilah dia biskut homemade. Tanpa garam, tanpa gula, tanpa bahan pengawet. Untuk mak-mak nak makan pun sesuai. Untuk orang yang nak berdiet macam kau yang ada kecil manis ni pun sesuai. Cuba kau rasa sikit.
Ya kan ni orang tua pun boleh makan ni. Yang untuk aku ni pun boleh makan. Tu aku try sikit lah. Senang juga lah. Kalau macam ni untuk orang diabetes macam aku ni boleh diet lah kan. Jadi aku terpaksa lah tinggalkan dulu punya donat ni. Kurang lah aku lepas ni kan.